What's good, YouTube? Yeah. We got another video today, and I'm checking out another channel today. I watched this guy video, and I thought it was a pretty good. They had some pretty good trade scenarios they brought up, and I wanted to broadcast it. So this is the channel, the Fantasy Football Dynasty channel, and yeah, good dudes, and they got a video called Make These Moves," and I'll be fast forwarding the video, where I'll be skipping forward, getting to different sections, parts I like, do it a little edit.
What is good? We're back with another episode with our guy JB. Today we are going to tell you what every pick in the first round is worth. Maybe if we get that far, because sometimes things get off the rail and the time goes too far. So we're going to do our best to try to get through there. We're going to put up, Caleb versus this guy and see if we would take the pick of the guy. So that's basically the idea of the show. We kind of did this before last time you were on. Thought it was a good time to revisit. And it's a question that we get a lot, this guy or the pick. So I figure let's hammer that out. And I think we can start off right away with, if you have the opportunity to draft at the 1-1, is there anything besides a ridiculous offer that's getting you off of it? Or should I even proceed with throwing out some guys here?
No,
Look, people. There is always a ridiculous offer that can get you off the 101. I mean, there shouldn't be, it should never be no doubt in your mind that, that you can't get an offer for the 101. And you might can't get one in your league that you feel is fair, but I'm saying it never should be closed shop. I'm taking this player. And it's definitely as much as I love Marvin Harrison Jr. Give me Justin Jefferson. Give me the proven commodity. As much as you might love Caleb Williams, give me Mahomes, give me Jalen Hurts, give me Lamar Jackson, give me the proven commodity. Stop. So, hey, it should never, the shop should always be open for trades, and there is always a dynasty asset you should, be willing to move for the 1-on-1. Of course, now you're going to get a bunch of trash offers. You're going to get like these 2, 3, people love to send 2, 3 players for the 1-on-1. No, I'm going to need a dynasty. I'm going to need a dynasty cornerstone player if I'm moving to 1-on-1. Because there's a good chance I might be getting one in this draft. So I'm going to need one dynasty player, a proven cornerstone dynasty player.
I actually don't mind moving, and we've talked about this. We talked about the last time I was on. We just talked about it a little bit in the buy low episode we put together. But there's actually a good amount of situations I would move off the 101, 102 if I can move back and stay within the top 7 picks. Whether it's adding veterans, whether it's adding additional picks in this year's draft, maybe future picks, but it would take a little bit. It would take a decent amount, but I would certainly entertain some trades. And I have a few 101s and 102s across my portfolio, and I don't think I've moved any up to this point. Just because,
that's on the clock.
People are hibernating a little bit. It's like the Munchkins and the Wizard of Oz. Everybody will be coming out eventually. But up to this point, I've held on to them. I think there's a little bit of prospect fatigue, especially with Caleb Williams.
Sure.
But once we get closer to rookie drafts, that value is going to come up a little bit. But yes, there are certainly situations that I would be interested in trading back or trading out altogether, depending on the types of pieces I could get.
I think that's a good way of putting it. I got to stay within, maybe even for me inside the top 4 to move back. Like I like Roman Bowers, but they're probably on the back end of that. And especially if I'm quarterback needy, I want to stay in there or really, really, I guess if I'm wide receiver needy, I'm more willing to kind of move back to, because I like Rome a lot. I don't see a huge difference between Rome and Neighbors for me personally. I know that's not the way a lot of people feel. So, all right, for this exercise, I'm going to try to leave like adding a bunch of ancillary picks to it. We're just going to try to keep it a little bit more like 1 for 1 on some things. And certainly.
And I just said before, hey, it is no difference for me. I don't mind moving back. I don't mind if I had the 101, I'll move back to the 102. Then I'll trade with the person that got the 103. I'm willing to move back. Then I'll move back to the 104. I mean, that's about as far as I would move if I need a quarterback. I think that's about as far as I move if I need a quarterback. If you don't need a quarterback, you don't mind drafting a wide receiver. I don't think a Doomsday probably won't be going off the board till a 105, right? I don't see people hyping up Jaden Daniels right now, but they're gonna get there. I've been saying he's my ceiling 101. Like he's if you're going for a ceiling player, he's the 101 in this draft. The problem is he has boom bust potential. He could be the ceiling player for 3 years, and he might be in the Justin Fields situation. It can happen like that. That's the only thing about him. But but as the draft get closer, he's going to be up in there. Drake, like I said, Drake May should be in contentions. People need a quarterback, so he's going to be going. Doomsday going to be going 105, 106. So, and hey, they got 3 studs at wide receiver in this draft. You're going to be fine with getting one of the 3. You do not have to get Marvin Harrison Jr. You do not have to get Neighbors. You're going to be fine getting one of these studs locked and loaded. You're going to be fine. And that's just how I feel about the quarterbacks too. The top 3 quarterbacks, you're going to be fine. You are going to be fine.
If you want to caveat things, you certainly may. I just don't want to get caught up with every one of adding, all the ancillary pieces. So
there's so much gray area with every single situation, and I'll try to be concise so we can actually get through more than 2 picks.
100%. Right now, we got Caleb Williams going at the 112 in our FFD ADP. So I would assume for maybe the top 4 to 5 QBs, you would flip the 1-1 for, right? Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, Stroud, Burrow,
and Herbert. I'll take Herbert. 7. I know there's the negative perception with Justin Herbert.
Oh, give me all the Herbert. Buy low, Herbert.
They might only.
Yeah, y'all can have Herbert. Herbert having people are still roster baiting over Herbert's first season. Dude had 1 good season so far, and people are still roster baiting over it. I sold Herbert for two firsts, like after year 1. Like, I think it was an early and a mid round for it, but it was in the top 5. I had 2 firsts in the top 5 in the next draft. I sure did sell them. I wish I would have got more. How people still roster bidding over him, and why why they think it's gonna get any better with Harbaugh coming in? Why? What? You think his value gonna get any better? like I don't even know much about the coach or offensive coordinator with the Bears, but I like Caleb Williams already better going into the situation he's going into. And who knows? Maybe I need to do more research on the last quarterbacks that Harbaugh had in the NFL. Maybe I need to do more research on it. I do know, he had Kaepernick, but Kaepernick was a running quarterback, not just a mobile quarterback, a running quarterback. Justin Herbert has been mobile. He has never been a running quarterback. That ain't what he did in college. He did more of it in the NFL and then in college. And his fantasy numbers have been average since his rookie year. Like y'all don't get me started on Herbert. I'll just tell y'all, go look at his fantasy numbers. People are still roster baiting of year one. It don't make any sense.
Throw 3 times a game this year with Harbaugh there.
Yeah, they're running the wing T.
Without a doubt, I'm taking the top 7 quarterbacks there over Caleb Williams.
Okay. How about Anthony Richardson?
I have them tiered together, but if I have to pick, if it's +6 for passing touchdowns, I will go Caleb gun to head. If it's +4, I think I would switch to Anthony Richardson.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, and I like it. So let's keep it moving from Caleb, because I think that's about where we draw the line. I think we're right there. Let's go to 1-2 with Marv, and I think we could maybe. Would you combine Marv and Neighbors here as kind of one, or do you see them a little more separate before I ask the questions?
I prefer Marvin.
Okay.
I do. I have a tier break in between them. I think the top 3 wide receivers are going to be fantastic. But again, I think it's just more prospect fatigue. I'm not saying necessarily with you, but across the board.
Sure.
Well, if his name wasn't Marvin Harrison, I mean, he put together a tremendous profile.
Well, Brendan Rice isn't in the fucking first round, so
Frank Gore, yeah. Brendan Rice,
yeah, it just happens to be good,
right?
And good.
So
for him
I do see a separation.
For not working out. Good for him for not working out. I'm okay with it. Like, I like it.
I said this on the show. They're like Caleb, especially the quarterbacks that have really proven themselves, and Marvin Harrison. I mean, Neighbors didn't do a lot of the on-field workouts. They could only hurt their stock.
Sure.
This is a business.
Right.
Unless there were a situation where I needed to go out there and show what I can do, because, for some reason the scouts didn't see it week in and week out during my collegiate career, then I would go out there because I think there is upside and there's a benefit and it outweighs the risk. But for these kids that are at the top that are pretty much locked in, there's too much unnecessary risk. And now with like the in-game speed and the GPS, like all that stuff.
Yeah, we're good.
Track.
Yeah.
They know how many times a day these kids shit probably.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
with
sure.
all the tracking. Like, I sit out.
Yeah.
I have no issue.
I agree. All right. So Marv or St. Brown?
Same tier, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, like, I think he's still so disrespected. I'm going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. Okay.
And I agree. As much as I love Marvin Harrison Jr., the prospect, I'm not just throwing him over these elite wide receiver producers that already doing it, already proven for someone that's unproven. Look, I'm not one of them people that was just throwing Kyle Pitts as the number 1 tight end just because he was an elite prospect. Don't be that fool.
We continue to see it year after year. People want to discount him. What was a 4th round pick? It doesn't have elite speed, only produced when certain players were out, the quarterback question marks. The kid just performs year after year. The ceiling's there, and he's safer.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think we got 2-1. St. Brown goes in our ADP, and Marvin Harrison is 2-5. So that's real close right there. I'd flip a coin, but I don't hate it. How about Brees or Bijan? I don't know which one you have as the RB1, but would you trade in the RB1 for the best currency in fantasy, that elite star potential wide receiver? What are your thoughts? Because I'm sticking with either one of those running backs for me. Like, I know everybody hates it, but those dudes are proven. Brees came back from an ACL on a shit team and slayed it. Bijan moving forward with an actual offense where he's going to be the guy. Like, I'm good, man. Like, I like the idea of Marvin Harrison. It sounds awesome, and maybe in a year I'll be saying, "Hey, you're an idiot. You should have done that flip there." But I'm keeping those two running backs. They're just.
I'm selling Brees Hall in a heartbeat. Yeah. Give me that 101. Give me Marvin Harrison. Selling Brees Hall in a heartbeat. Like, sorry. If running backs have burned me so much in the past, if I can get out for a great price, I'm getting out. And then you have one with injury history too. I'm getting out. Bijan, I don't think I can sell Bijan because I think his value can still get higher. I don't know if Brees Hall value could get any higher because people love Brees Hall. Like, Brees Hall would need to go out there and kill it this season and be everything everyone expects him to be for his value to get any higher. But Bijan, if he goes out there and does better than he did last season, his value will go up. He don't have to have the greatest season. He just have to have a better season than he did last year, and his value will go up.
They're difference makers in your lineup, and I know it right now. Marvin could be, but we don't know. And so, what say you?
On this week's episode of the Pivot Point, Mitch and I just talked about a startup that he did and something he was looking to do. If he has a pick that's like 110, 111, 112 in startups, he was double tapping running back at the turn. And he was going like a Bijan and Gibbs. And then he got Brees Hall at 301 because it was a third round reversal. Mm-hmm. And he passed on like a Marvin Harrison. He actually passed on, I forget who the other player was that kind of raised a red flag for me. If it's start 2 wide receiver, I'm okay with the running back.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
If it start 3 wide receiver,
I don't play in communist leagues that make me start 3. I just want the extra flex. But I mean, go on, because you're right. They exist. People like them.
Listen, over here in the red state, okay? Now, I'll go Marvin if it start 3 wide receivers.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. That's fair enough. So we can proceed in the same manner. You going neighbors next, or are you taking the 2 quarterbacks?
I will take, when you say 2 quarterbacks, which 2?
May and Daniels.
Okay. I'm certainly taking Jaden over Neighbors, and I have Neighbors and Adunze tiered together. I like Rome checks every box. I think he's going to be just awesome. Super good. He's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Depending on my league dynamic, if the quarterback market is relatively weak, or if I already have like 3 high-end quarterbacks, I'm going to go one of the wide receivers over Drake May. But there are, like, on the other hand, if it's a strong quarterback market within my specific league, or my quarterbacks are certainly lacking, I'll go Drake May.
All right. Well, let's start with the quarterbacks then. Let's go Jaden Daniels or Jordan Love.
I'm going to go Jordan Love. And I think that was my pick. I think we did this exact one last time I was on.
All right.
And I'm going to stick with Jordan Love.
I can't lie. That's a good question. Jordan Love finished as like the QB5, but that was only averaging 19 points a game. But QB5, I think Jaden Daniels have a higher ceiling, but why not pick the safer choice that's in a stable situation? You know, Green Bay, from what he did so far, I doubt Green Bay is moving away from him anytime soon. So I understand why one would go with Jordan Love. Totally understand it. But just let you know, this boy ceiling, this boy can unlock a lot with his ceiling. The real question is, can he stay healthy? And will he continue to learn? Or will he end up being a Justin Fields? That's the unknown.
Together, but I don't want to give any cop-out answers. So
I think we asked this question with Brock Purdy before, too. I went with the rookie quarterbacks. Think I'm still sticking there. What do you say with Brock Purdy?
Tiered together, and actually with Purdy and Love, I'm going to give the little asterisk again. 6-point passing touchdowns, give me Purdy and Love. 4-point passing touchdown, give me Jaden Daniels.
So Purdy finished as the QB6. But I'm not a Purdy fan. Like, do I think, like, I can see Jordan Love having a better season than he did last season. Can I see Brock Purdy going out there and have a better season than he did last season? Probably not. So give me the rookie.
Yeah.
But I think I could get a plus with Brock Purdy if it were a trade. Now, if it's a startup, obviously it's gonna be difficult, but that's where I'm going. So +6, Purdy or Love, +4, Daniels, but trying to get the plus if moving that rookie pick.
How about tight end premium? Would you trade one of those quarterback picks for Sam Laporta?
What's the premium?
1.5.
1.5. Give me the quarterback.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there.
2 PPR, I switch.
How about Chris Olave?
Or
May?
I'll go May. And I'm actually going to go, as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to go Neighbors and Adunze over Olave as well.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of grouping the two quarterbacks together. I know you like Jaden a little more. Trying to find somebody that you would. How about Trevor Lawrence or Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Okay. Dak, your boy Dak from the bottom line show. Dak or Daniels?
Give me the Dak attack straight up.
All right. I like it there.
Yeah, I can't be mad at that. Dak would finish as like the QB 4, 3 or 4, something like that. Man, Dak, yeah. Especially if they're gonna continue to throw that ball. And I'm not mad at that whatsoever. Like I said, if Jaden Daniels could either be Justin Fields or RG3, or he could be the next Lamar Jackson. It is a coin flip.
we go.
Dak.
There we got it. We got a swap.
Give me the Dak.
How about all right, let's move to Malik Neighbors. So we're obviously kind of dancing around. It's kind of which pick and how you have these guys slotted is kind of how they're going through. So we're, we could just say we're at around the 1-5 right now, 1-4, depending on how you have these quarterbacks. So we'll go to Malik Neighbors here. How about Malik Neighbors or Jahmyr Gibbs?
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Same. Malik Neighbors or Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson.
Same. Puka, right?
Yep.
Puka or Neighbors?
You can have my Garrett Wilson. One, Garrett Wilson, people are not willing to trade the 104 for Garrett Wilson. Just let y'all know. I haven't went and tried the 105 yet, but I didn't try 1, 2, 3, 4, and at least I had Garrett Wilson and rejection for all of them. So I'm willing. I think I'm comfortable, willing. I think I'm gonna go for the 105 next time. We'll see. I'll go and try to move the 105. I have to figure out if I'm willing to move the 106. They said, I forgot who they just mentioned, and I would rather have. Be honest with you, I don't know. I'm torn on Neighbors. I'm torn on Neighbors and Adunze. I will let y'all know that. Neighbors had a much better prospect score than Adunze. But Adunze earned my Playmaker Superstar badge, which changes everything. Once a player earns that badge, I already know he's going to be a baller. He's going to be a baller. So there, even though Neighbors has a much better prospect score than Adunze, they're in the same tier for me. So I don't mind having a Doomsday. I don't mind missing out on Neighbors. I don't mind having a Doomsday.
Puka. And I think I went Puka before, and I want to.
Definitely taking Puka. Like Puka be balling.
Because I'm psychotic and I go through and read the comments on the videos. I think one of your viewers yelled at me about that. I think
people like to yell. I
think. Not me. I'm a very quiet guy. I'm very composed. I never yell.
All right. Well, we got a couple of fun ones there. How about let's move it down to Rome Odunze and let's Sam Laporta or Rome Odunze.
I would take 1.5. I would take Laporta in 1.5. Whereas before I made the switch between 1.5 and 2 whenever you asked me with Laporta. So I'll go Laporta. As long as it's at least 1.5, I'll go him over Odunze.
And you said Chris Olave over Rome Odunze at this point. Or Rome Odunze over Chris Olave, sorry.
I will take Rome Odunze over Chris Olave.
Whew, that's and I'm a huge I'm probably one of the sole reasons I've driven this ADP where it is on our ADP because I'm in most of the drafts. But man, that's a close one for me. Why? Because quarterback play or?
Well, I can't even say quarterback play because if Odunze goes to the Giants, like how does that look? I think.
Look, I'm on a board, same, and I like JB. I'm on the same boat he's on. Odunze over Olave, and I like Olave. I was the first one advocating for Olave, saying he would be good no matter where he goes. But I mean, his situation needs to change because Carr is not going to be the one to unlock him. Like Olave would need to be in a high-powered offense to get totally unlocked. Like Olave can give you as many fantasy points as the offense allows. It's not happening with Carr. It's not. I don't think it's gonna happen on the Saints. Period. So I'm out until he gets in another situation. Like I think right before maybe he go on free agency, which I can see them easily fran- franchise tagging him because they paid a lot of money, but they paid a lot to get him in draft picks. So I doubt the Saints are going to let him go anytime soon. And I don't want a part of Olave if he's a part of the Saints. I don't really want it. So, but as much as it'd be funny, as much as people be saying they like Olave and this and that, when you go to trade Olave, people don't want to give you nothing. I got Olave and I was trying to shop him. They wasn't coming off them draft picks. So it's funny, man. So either people just valuing the draft picks more, or people don't like Olave as much as they say. Mm.
I think Olave is a really good player, but and I believe I talked about this last time I was on, talking about the unrealized air yards with a player like Chris Olave. And eventually you'd think they would become realized yards and actual fantasy points for you on your team. But, still waiting here. I think the ceiling, the range of outcomes, I believe, for Rome Odunze is wider than a player like Chris Olave. I think he's got overall, I think he's a little bit safer, he being Chris Olave, but ceiling wise, I truly think Rome Odunze is like a difference making prospect.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm gonna agree, even though I think in my rankings, let's see where I have Rome Odunze and Olave. I have Rome Odunze and Malik Neighbors in the same tier as Chris Olave. So
I actually just until, was it last week maybe, I had Olave tiered with them.
Yeah.
And then I just in startups or existing leagues, I'm looking at trade opportunities. I'm like, if I have to pick between the top 7 picks and Chris Olave, I'm taking one of the top 7. A lot of my leagues are 2 PPR for tight ends, so Brock Bowers slotting in above him as well.
That's a no-brainer for me with 2 points.
Yeah, it's and I like Olave a lot, but I think he's just going to be, and I say just, like that wide receiver 2 that you can, feel good about being your dynasty wide receiver 2 on your dynasty roster.
Right. All right. So Drake London gets Kirk Cousins. Does he enter in a conversation where you might want to swap Rome Odunze or that 1-6-ish pick for Drake London, or is that too rich for your blood? You'd rather take, because I'm sticking with Rome Odunze there. I just like the possibility and the range of, and I like Drake. I didn't think the Drake value moved a ton for me because I felt like a quarterback change was already kind of baked into the ADP of what was happening. Right.
Bingo.
Right.
Bingo. With Pitts, with London.
Now, if we talking about Drake London versus a Doomsday, that's a tough one, man. I would say that this is a guy that was drafted the 108, top 10 in an NFL draft. And we've been waiting for him to get a QB to unlock him. Whoo! I think it just depends on where a Dunze go for me. And I don't even know if it, because let's say he go to the New York Giants. That's what they mentioned. If they have a bad season, I can't see Daniel Jones being there another season. So he'll get a quarterback change. And look, that quarterback change will be coming. Hmm. But Drake value might eclipse his during that bad quarterbacking season. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think it's either or for me. It doesn't matter. That's a flip flop. I think that's a flip flop. I'm trying to be realistic on what Drake London would do because first season averaged 10.5, second season 10.9. How high is he really going to jump up? I can easily see jumping up to 12.5, but will it actually go above that? That's the question. Will it even rise above that? I think I'm gonna bet on a doomsday. After thinking about it, I'll bet on a doomsday.
We kind of you have to kind of project a little bit, right?
Right.
And we knew they weren't rolling into the season with Desmond Ritter and Taylor Heineke.
Right.
Like you knew something was going to give, and just like you said, I had London. I have him right between that 107 and 108. So like I will take the top 7 over London. I will take London over the 108.
Yes, same.
But let's say JJ McCarthy just gets an absolute crazy landing spot. Everybody's in love. He goes super high in the NFL draft. I could see people preferring JJ McCarthy in super flex leagues to a player like Drake London, especially if they need a quarterback. I'm not there,
me neither.
but I could see it being a very realistic possibility.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm certainly not there either.
Right.
But yeah, so Rome over Drake.
Yes, and I might, like you said, I might be kicking myself when you were talking about like Marvin Harrison or one of the stud running backs, but I think I just think from a prospect standpoint, like Drake London, really good prospect. I think Rome Odunze, like just stud, absolute stud in the making.
I'm lockstep with you there. All right, one more on Rome Odunze or Jonathan Taylor. This is the tightest one probably between the two.
Y'all already know what I'm doing. You already know what I'm doing because I'm not betting on a running back. Definitely not one that been up and down. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
There, but I think I'm sticking with Rome, even though I'm a guy who's gonna, always cape for those stud running backs. Long pause. Love it.
This is a long pause. I said I don't want to give a cop-out answer.
It's okay. Give it.
Can I say my team direction? Like it would,
yes.
My roster construction would play a role here.
That's fine.
I could see it going both ways where I hate you. Roster construction is going to come into play. But if I have Jonathan Taylor, I think I can get a little bit more than the 107 by itself.
Right.
Cop-out answer. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
That's fair enough. I think that's the right answer because we're doing a lot of this in the vacuum. Like I said, just trying to
look. That sounds good. Like you think you can get more than 107 until you go to move Jonathan Taylor for the 106 or the 107 plus. And you might get plus, but that plus might be you can have this third rounder. you can have this equivalency to the third rounder, like where we getting a Dunze at. It's going to be a steal for him, a steal.
compare players. It's just this people are always asking us this, so I think it's a good show to kind of give what's moved around where we're at here. But I'm with you. So let's move on to Brock Bowers, and we'll call it 1.5 premium here. And I think we did this last time. Trey McBride or Bowers? I'm going McBride. I'm sticking with McBride.
Same tier, but I actually will go McBride as well.
Just because I know. And I think Bowers is going to be great, but everything that I know about where McBride is, what McBride is, all that stuff from last year, I'll take Trey McBride. How about Mark Andrews? Probably going to bounce right back and be the tight end 1 or 2, but seems to be kind of slept on right now and just kind of forgotten about a little bit.
I'm going to go Brock if I have to choose. I know there was a conversation. There was a conversation on Twitter about those two, and I know a lot of people felt very strongly saying, "How could you trade Mark Andrews for Brock Bowers straight up? It's just a way to lose in Dynasty." I'm taking Brock. Call me.
Yep, definitely can be a way to lose. But I understand, a lot of people play Dynasty, with their feelings, and Mark Andrews have disappointed us like the last 2 seasons. So definitely can understand why, but I do not want to get caught with the Pitts illusion. And I think Brock Bowers is probably the greatest tight end prospect that we have ever had. And if he goes into as seeming like the perfect situation, I think you might want to sign me up for that too, because I've been the main one getting burned by Andrews in redraft, and I own a lot of Andrews in Dynasty. So I've been getting burned first hand, But in this season, I think, and I might want to, say his value down, because I was about to say I might want to try to shop him, but his value down, because if he burns us for a 3rd season in a row, like his value gonna be shot. He's gonna be labeled as injury prone, and nobody's gonna want him. His value gonna be low. He's gonna be like the Michael Thomas of tight ends. So we need to say a prayer for Andrews. Good God. But Brock Bowers, that dude, and especially in a 2-point premium tight end league, and I play in a lot of those, them safe leagues, man, give me Brock Bowers.
I'll be foolish, but I'm taking Brock in the 6 years, 7 years that you're buying back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really hard when you put it that way. It's a 28-year-old Andrews, I think. And then a really young, possibly really elite prospect in Bowers. So it's hard not to take the mystery box of what Bowers could be. I think if Andrews would have had the tight end 1 or 2 season last year, a lot more people would feel differently than, how are you going to, probably the winning move is to take Mark Andrews and just, if you got a winner and you're ready to go on 1.5 and just roll with it. But it's really hard to turn down that mystery box. How about Nico or Brock Bowers? They're one spot away in ADP.
I will go
1.5 premium.
Yeah, I'll go Brock. I'm going to go Brock just because I think it's a little. See, the 1.5 is throwing me off, and you can tell I'm backtracking my mind a little bit here because I'm looking at my tiers and I have everything calibrated for 2 PPR.
Yeah.
But Nico, Brock, 1.5. I will, I will go Brock still in 1.5. It's super close. Now, you can make a case either way. But then you get into 1.75 or 2 PPR.
I think anything over 1.5, I'll go Bowers. 1.5 or less, I'm probably going to stick with Nico Collins, but really goes against my camp. I'm a big believer, even in 1.5, of smashing tight ends, because when they get the volume, they're as good. They can easily be inside the top 12, 15 of wide receivers so quickly. And then 2, forget about it. Like 2, I'll take the tight end almost every time if it's anywhere close.
And this is a unique situation because with Brock Bowers, you don't know where he's going to land.
Right.
We think he's going to be a great player, but we've seen people struggle that were supposed to be top tier prospects across every position. Nico Collins, it took him a few years, but now he's tied to one of the most exciting quarterbacks in all football. The direction of the team, it looks like they're headed in the right direction finally. So
I love what they're doing. Free agency
in 1.5 PPR, like if I saw a trade Brock Bowers for Nico Collins, I wouldn't bat an eye.
Yeah.
Like that's how close it is for me.
Fair. All right. Well, this is where it gets interesting because now we're getting to 1-8 and there's a whole bunch of discourse of who could be where. JJ McCarthy gets a good spot. He could be in the 1-8. If not, I think a lot of people have Brian Thomas there. I like Worthy before he ran fast because I already knew he was fast and I like what he does. So I kind of have Worthy up in this tier, and I actually had Ladd up in this tier before the combine as well, and that just stamped it for me. Troy Franklin, of course, in that rotation here as well. So let's go through here and just kind of talk about what right now our ADP says Brian Thomas for sure ahead of all those guys in startups. So 1-8, what would you how about JSN now getting new coordinator, but Lockett's kind of re-upped for 2 years for sure.
Give me the 1-8.
1-8 over JSN.
Yeah. And again, tiered together, but I just like the flexibility, and with the 108, you have a wider range of potential trade partners, I think.
Yeah.
JSN, you have probably
you're going to make that pick and hang on. You're hanging out with JSN for a minute, right?
Yeah, right. Like
which I'm fine.
So I would rather the 108 than JSN, but I would rather JSN than Brian Thomas. Like, I'm not high on Brian Thomas like everyone else. I think Brian Thomas can easily end up being MVS. I keep telling you guys, hey man, he is setting up the trick you guys. Setting up the trick you guys. I'm gonna be happy skipping over Brian Thomas.
But I think what you're saying is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and especially because like if we're just saying the 108, you don't need to pick who that player is right now.
Yeah,
unless you have a rookie draft, pre-NFL draft, which they're a lot of fun, but they're dangerous.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you get a good landing spot for Brian Thomas. Heck, what if he goes to Buffalo towards the end of the first? Xavier Worthy lands in Kansas City. JJ McCarthy gets top 10 draft capital.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, the top 10 picks in this year's draft, talk about top 7.
Or even JJ just going to Minnesota at 11 or whatever it is.
Right, exactly.
Good spot. So
but can he beat out Sam Darnold? That's the question.
That will forever be a question. How about T. Higgins or Brian Thomas? We're calling Brian Thomas the 1-8 right now.
You know what? Give me Brian Thomas.
Yeah, with T. Higgins requesting a trade, I'm curious how things gonna play out. I definitely want T. Higgins over Brian Thomas. Like, Brian Thomas hopes to be what T. Higgins is in the league. Now, the 108 is a different story. Like I said, 108 is a nice little mystery box that you don't know what's exactly going to fall there. You don't know what's going to fall there at all, because it might end up being Brock Bowers in a 2-point PPR tight end premium league. Yeah. And then you're hitting the jackpot.
And I like T a lot.
Yeah.
But he's been so it's so frustrating getting certain players in your lineup. And I don't want to say somebody's injury prone, but I don't know if maybe it's the type of targets he's garnering where they're all like the high A dot. He's going down the sideline. He's going up for it. He's cracking his head on the turf, whatever the case may be. Like, he just seems to miss time all the time.
Yeah.
And it might not be a full game, but losing half a game, questionable to return, getting that update on Twitter, it's demoralizing and it can get very frustrating. So if I have the chance to move off of a T. Higgins for 108 or Brian Thomas, if you want to call it that, I'll move off.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting the back half of this draft, because if JJ gets it, and if the other two there's a chance, not highly likely, but we could have all the quarterbacks go in the first round. Really, at the end of the day, there's enough needy teams right now that drafted that just paid stopgaps that need a quarterback that could potentially even be going. And so, we could be talking about Brian Thomas potentially down, where the quarterbacks could, at least it could be Bo Nix or Penix in the 7 or in the 8 and the 9 spot here, depending on what you like. Now, I'm not super high on JJ, not super high on Nix. I love Penix, big Penix guy. He'd be my choice to go to the Vikings or somewhere like that. But so it'll be interesting, because I think these values can kind of shift around a little bit. So let's just call it 1-9 right now. We don't really know who it is, mystery box or Kyle Pitts. I'm taking Kyle Pitts. I'll take Kyle Pitts 1-8, 1-9.
Yeah, even in 1.5.
Hey man. People love Kyle Pitts, that's all I'm gonna say. But we looking for things to get better. I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at, he was an elite prospect. And we looking for things to get better. So that's in a 2-point PBR for me. 1.5 PBR. Yeah. I mean, because if anytime we comparing any of these players to Brian Thomas, I'm probably gonna pick a different mystery box than the Brian Thomas mystery box.
1.5.
Yeah, I'll take Pitts.
Yeah, I'm swinging there. We've seen good stuff from Pitts. Maybe a little banged up last year, and Arthur Smith and quarterback play. We saw that, just like we talked about Calvin Ridley in the last video. There's a whole bunch of missed targets on Pitts being open and overthrown.
And he was having some separation issues, but again, I think it's because he was banged up, and I'm not a huge Pitts guy.
Banged up and misaligned. Like you got a mismatch guy here. Don't put him on the guy who don't put him. Get him on the linebacker or the safety. Don't get him on the slot corner.
You look at certain coaches, like what they do with the Rams. They create those mismatches.
Right. Which is where what he's going to be in, kind of. Rams offense essentially.
Yep. Yeah. So I'll take Pitts.
Yeah. How about those running backs like the Jacobs and Barkley just moved up a good bit. This is a range where you'd be willing to move the 8 through whatever to maybe get one of those on a competitor. Because I'm not. Nah. Maybe when we get to the 110, 11, 12, maybe then. I'm just not a big fan of trying to invest in a running back early in the season. I would definitely rather have one of those running backs than any running back in this draft. But I can't be mad. I can't be mad at anyone for making the move. It might work out for him. I'd rather try to buy Derrick Henry for a second rounder or something. If you're going to go a veteran running back or something, see what you can get CMC for. Because if I'm going to move the 108 for a running back, I want the best. I'm going to move it for an older running back. Hey, try to get CMC, not Barkley.
Barkley for sure. And Jacobs tiered together. My league dynamic would come into play a little bit there. And just the way I build a lot of my rosters, I have so many teams with even a Jacobs already, but a Jacobs, Montgomery, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, James Conner, Aaron Jones. So if I'm rolling with 4 or 5 of those types of guys already, I'm probably going to stick with the pick.
Sure, 100%.
But I certainly have some rosters where maybe they're a little bit thinner at running back. And I know we're not supposed to be paying for running backs, but Josh Jacobs, that 4-year contract in Green Bay where Aaron Jones has smashed it time and time again. Yeah, I can buy into that.
Yeah. How about Kincaid here? Last year's guy probably going around this area.
I'm not gonna lie. I like Jock Jacobs. He does make a compelling point for Jock Jacobs. And he's a better pass catcher than people think. So you could get a couple of good years out of Josh Jacobs. I'm not gonna be mad at that one. I don't think Philly is going to get full use out of Barkley. I know there's a lot of people excited about this move. I don't know how much Barkley loves football in the first place. We're gonna go to that, and I don't see Philly getting the most out of their running backs. In my mind, I felt like Swift started off hot at the beginning of the season. Oh yeah, he started off kind of hot for a few games. The first game, I don't know what happened there. Oh, he must didn't get the usage. But the second game, 27 points, and then people got super excited. But from then on, it was like 14.8, 17.9, 16.8, 17.8, and then after that, he never he only scored over 14 points twice. After that, it was 10, 14, 9. Oh, 19. Okay, he did get it. 19. 9, 4, 4, 9, 15, 7. So I don't know if he got hurt or they changed up the offense. Like, I don't know, because he was still getting touched. Oh, they definitely didn't give him as many touches as their second game. So here's the thing. Here's the thing we got to figure out. Week 2 last year with DeAndre Swift, they gave him 28 touches. What happened there? That's when he had the 27 fantasy points. What happened there? Because he never got those kind of touches again. He only got over 18 touches one more time, and that was in week 16. He got 20. So did they feel like he couldn't handle it? Did he get some nicked up or something? And do they feel like Barkley will be the answer to that, and they're going to give him the 28 touches a game? Or are they going to be the same Philadelphia Eagles that share the backfield? That's the question. And I know everyone is able to only see rainbows and unicorns. And I'm just not willing to bet on it. I think I'm gonna let other people bet on it. Barkley has disappointed me enough that I will let other optimistic people bet on Barkley. But I don't mind having Jacobs, like they said.
I'd be down to swap these, most of these picks, maybe outside of Xavier Worthy for, I think Dalton Kincaid. I think he had a pretty.
So here's the thing, because they said Brian Thomas. I like Worthy over Brian Thomas, so that's why, when they mention that name, I'm like, ugh. I would rather have Xavier Worthy. I would rather have Troy Franklin. As much as he went down in people's eyes, I would still rather have Troy Franklin. I am not I'm not the one person on the Brian Thomas train, and I don't dislike him. I just think he might just be Christian Watson. I know I was saying MVS, but it might be Christian Watson. He might just be a traits guy. He have all that. He got the height, the athleticism, the speed. He got all the traits. And then he might not be able to put all of it together. This is a guy that, you'll be betting on. You'll definitely be trying to bet on. And I can see his ADP dropping if he ends up in a bad situation. Now, if he ends up in a good situation, oh my goodness. People are going to roster me like there's no tomorrow.
Pretty good rookie season. It just got outshined by Sam Laporta being awesome. I think he still had 70-some targets.
He did have a good season. I think, you see
1.5.
Buffalo restructuring that Dawson Knox contract already.
Yeah. What
I think they're like, what were we doing there?
Yeah.
You have to think that his role is going to grow. But yeah, any other rookie draft class, you'd be sitting here saying, oh my God, Kincaid. But he shined bright, not as bright as Sam Laporta.
Right.
But I'll take Kincaid over that 110-ish. Yeah.
And so we'll kind of close up. We'll put 110 through 112 kind of together here. And
can I say
all right. Well, first, y'all can have Kincaid because, I don't know if you go look, Kincaid went crazy whenever Dawson Knox was out. Look, it was real humble numbers whenever they both shared the field. But when Dox went out, as I expected, he went crazy. He went crazy. He was looking like Travis Kelce out there. He went crazy. So until Dawson Knox get out of town, get out of Dodge, I'm not sold on Kincaid like that. Dawson Knox is holding Kincaid back.
Well, so George Pickens maybe getting a little boost right here. Where does George Pickens fit in on the rankings of trading? I don't think you're not trading him for anything inside the 7, but once we get to 8, I think it's fair game for me to swap any of those receivers out with Pickens for what the upside could be. I know some people hate Pickens. They don't like some of the metrics, but we've just seen Pickens just be a raw beast out there. And that's kind of, you're hoping you can get that from any of these guys, 8 to 12 here. So I would roll the dice on Pickens from what I've seen his ability to do in the league already than any of those guys. What about you?
111 or 112. I have 111 and 112 tiered together. Right now I have Trey Benson and Troy Franklin sitting there side by side. That's where I have George Pickens tiered. So if you want to swap one of them out, if you want to make sure that you don't have to take one of the running backs with all the question marks and potential landing spot disasters with the NFL draft, I would take, I can see Pickens swapping for.
Yeah, because there is a dimension. There is a universe where Pickens go crazy this year. Right now, he does not have any competition. It's a guarantee that they're going to draft a receiver, and it's going to be a receiver you'd be like, that's definitely still as a receiver when they draft him. Watch. But Pickens matches well with Russell Wilson. So he is going to have them same spike games that he had last year. It's looking like all the targets going to be his. So I'm definitely not mad about that. I think it definitely depends on what kind of draft capital Trey Benson gets and where he goes. That will fluctuate his value. But as of now, I think Pickens is definitely the way to go.
For those 2 picks, I would not trade 110 or better for Pickens.
Okay, fair enough. How about let's go back to last year's draft a little bit, and we'll talk about this in another episode with I think we're gonna have Snoog on and talk about maybe some 23 versus 24 action. But 112, would you get curious on Bryce Young here, Superflex wise?
Yeah, so I have him tiered with 111 and 112. I would spend either of those picks because you're probably like I'm taking Bryce Young over Bo Nix, Michael Penix. I know you said you're a Penix guy. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend.
Hot take. Hot take. Hot take. I have. I currently have McCartney slightly over Penix as far as a prospect score. That and that's probably only because Penix was in college like 6 years, so I penalize him for that. But to be honest, I like Penix over McCarthy. I know y'all love y'all some McCarthy, but I think Penix could put up more fantasy points than McCarthy. And if McCarthy gets serious draft capital, like if he was to go first round, sneak in the first round, whether it's late first round, whatever, or the beginning of the second round where I know he's going to get an opportunity to play, nah, it would have to be first round for me to take him over Bryce Young. Definitely have to be first round. But Bryce Young, yeah, I'll trade the 112 for Bryce Young all day in the superflex. Man, quarterbacks is hard to get, and when you don't have them, oh, it's tough.
But you're probably not going to get a quarterback. Most people aren't going to quarterback they love there at 111, 112. I made a trade in a league where what was the exact trade? Like we were going back and forth, and it was with a patron. They have access to my tiers. I always hate whatever.
It's the worst.
I hate.
It's the worst.
I always have my tiers up, and on Google Sheets you can see who's in there. And this one, it was a guy in the chat, Remdog, and I see he's in there, and get a message that he sent me an offer. I'm like, you son of a bitch, and it was like dead even in my tiers. But to pivot there, I wanted to get a little something. So like 111 or 112, I'll still buy Bryce Young. But if you give me a little plus, I'll pivot off of Bryce Young.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what Canales can do. He's been great with some other quarterbacks, which is, I think kind of what led to this job for him. Now he's paid two guards because their guard play was trash. They spent, I don't know, like 140 million already in free agency getting some more guards. And now they've traded for Deontay Johnson. So they at least have somebody who can now get open and isn't 31 or 32 like Adam Thielen. So, things pointing up a little bit for Bryce Young, where everybody's ready to close the door because that's just where we're at with fantasy. And I think that stems, and it's always been that way a little bit, but it also stems from a lot of these redraft people coming over and having bad patience for anything. There's no way Bryce Young could be good.
I think it's a combination of that and with how quickly we see so many rookies produce now.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take 3-4 years. Like, oh, let's give them time
for all of them, but some of them it does. Situation or the player or whatever.
But I think it also comes into play like the way the NFL is. Like teams are willing.
I know Bryce Young was not good his rookie season, but one thing I always say about rookie quarterbacks, man, it's tough because you're usually going into a bad situation and a bad organization. It's not set up for you to succeed. Like Caleb Williams is going to be going into a good situation, but it's still a bad organization. They have made questionable decision making for years, decades. So, but about Bryce Young, I think the more talent you put around him, the better he would be. He reminds me of Tua Tagovailoa. So that's pretty much his ceiling. That's going to be his ceiling. Like, he's not a runner, but the more talent you put around him, the more he'll be able to produce. So, and if they don't quickly put that talent around him, then he's going to look bad and he might not get a second contract in this league.
to pull the plug on coaches in their first year.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's like we got to produce, we got to win now. And if you're not going to do that, well, because the plug will be pulled on them, they okay, we're going to make the quarterback change. We don't have time. We can't be patient because my job is on the line. And the trade with Bryce Young, I moved Bryce Young in 404 for Nico Collins.
Yeah, I'm down with that. That's
so I thought a pick was involved. It was not.
But. Yeah, basically not. Yeah. All right, last question, and I just want to throw another quarterback in here because I think the rest of the guys down on our ADP list, I wouldn't consider trading them for these later picks. How about Baker? Any intrigue of grabbing Baker in a super flex here on your winning team 112? See if I can grab Baker from somebody, or does that not get it done at this point from them re-signing everybody and giving Baker some cash?
I would move the 111 or 112. I would take Baker over Bryce.
Yeah, I would too. But man, I know everybody love to trade. I'm not a big fan of trading. Like, people are greedy, bro. People are super greedy when it comes to trade, man. Like, I check my email every day and I just be like, another trash trade.
Young, honestly.
Oh, I like it.
And again, you look at the 2-3 year window. I think Baker has a better outlook. Now, I will say back to Bryce Young really quickly. Like, if Deontay Johnson, if his value takes a dip, which it might because now he's in Carolina,
right?
Like him playing with Russ because of what we talked about with the first read and the middle of the field. I think his outlook is better with Bryce Young in Carolina than it is with Russell Wilson or Kenny Pickett with Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh.
I agree.
Bryce Young, he doesn't want to force the ball into a tight window. And you saw that because Jonathan Mingo couldn't create separation. Adam Thielen did to an extent, but he's older.
Right.
And Deontay Johnson, the dude gets open. He may drop some balls.
Sure.
But he will get open.
He may not block sometimes.
But he may fumble it and just watch it.
Yeah.
But he's going to get open.
Yeah.
And because of that, I really could see a season where he gets like 130 targets. I really could see that in Carolina. Might be 130 targets with an age-out of 2, but he's going to get targets.
Yeah.
And I think that does help the outlook of Bryce Young a little bit. But still, Baker Mayfield with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Rashad White, Cade Otton
coming on.
In a weak division, I'm going to take Baker.
Week no more. Kirk's in town, baby.
Correction. Formerly weak division.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying. No, yeah, Baker's interesting, man. I keep being in these startups and
I guess Carolina's in that division too.
Yeah,
but so
well, I mean, it's TBD on them, but I think the Falcons are going to turn around, and the Saints could go either way. But Baker's interesting because I get in that 8th round, and a lot of the times I end up making Baker my 3rd quarterback. And I don't hate that at all. So interesting with Baker because as a guy whose value plummeted, now we've ricocheted back up a little bit and climbing the charts. And was last year an outlier, or was Canales a big part of that? And is it going to be a little harder for them, moving forward? But at least most things stay the same for him,
Yeah, I mean, the continuity is big, but yeah, Canales revitalizing the career of Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith.
Yeah,
it's certainly going to be a positive.
All right, they started to go on a tangent after that, but yeah, that was some good stuff. Definitely give you some insight on some things that you can do. And of course, if you like the video, you can go check them guys out over there. Until next time, peace.